Hi, welcome to Demo 4. In this demo, we're going to look at the other side of the model, which is the inventory that we worked on before. And we're just going to look at how we get a part from the catalog into inventory. Now, the first thing we have to do is we've got a method here we've added called add to inventory, bin, and quantity. And the first argument is the parts number, then the bin, then the part quantity. Now, in order to add a part number into inventory, we recall that in our database, actually, if we do a schema on the inventory, we'll see that the part number doesn't appear. It's an ID and then a part ID. And we're going to get that part ID from the catalog table. We don't have the part number, but we do have the part ID, which already exists in the catalog. So how do we do that? Well, we need to first get the ID from the catalog table. So we've got here an NS integer called part ID, and we've also got a Boolean called isPart that I'm assuming that we're going to already have that part number in the catalog. So now the catalog query is going to be select ID from catalog where the part number is equal to the passed in part number, and that will get us the unique ID from the catalog table. We go ahead and prepare that statement, and we get a result, and we say if the result is equal to SQLite OK. Now, if the part already exists, then we're good, and we set the part ID. But if it doesn't, we're going to have to do some error handling here somehow, but for now we'll just set a Boolean to no. So there is no part in the catalog with that part number. And for the model, this is fine. We can handle the logic if isPart is equal to no in the controller. Okay, so now that we have the catalog ID for that part number, we can go ahead and query we can go ahead and add this part into inventory. So if isPart, in other words, we have a successful part number and an ID, then we write an insert query. And this is insert into inventory, part ID, bin, and quantity with the values of our part ID and then our passed in part bin and part quantity. So now we prepare the statement, we go ahead and get the result equal to SQLite OK, and then we step the insert statement. And then finally, we finalize the insert statement, and that's all we need to do to get this inserted into inventory. Now, how do we query all of our inventory parts? Remember that we want a dictionary to come back, and in our original inventory class, this dictionary was called bins, and we wrote it directly into self.bins in the inventory class. The bins dictionary was set up to be a dictionary of sets, each containing an array. So we recall that. What we need to do is we need to get the part number and the part name from the catalog and the bin and the quantity from the inventory into sort of a mashed up idea of every piece of information in the inventory for this part number and name. The way we do that is we write a query that is called an inner join, and we join where the catalog ID is equal to the inventory part ID. So the catalog ID is the primary key field of the catalog table. Inventory part ID is a foreign key in the inventory table, and those two items will match up on every part number, name, bin, and quantity that exist in both tables. So this is our SQL statement for selection. We prepare that statement, we get the result, and if the result is equal to SQLite OK, we've got a successful query. Now we want to step through all of the rows that are returned. So while SQLite 3-step on that select prepared query is equal to SQLite row, we set up an array of values, and these are going to be the values that go into the set. And the values are the 0th column, the part number, the first column, the name, and the third column, the quantity. So we add those to the array. Then we get the bin, and the bin is the second column, is this column right here. Remember, these are zero base, so the part number is 0, the name is 1, the bin is 2. We get that. And now that bin number is a string with the format. Now we go ahead and check the parts dictionary, inventory parts. This is a mutable dictionary. So we're building this on the fly. Let me see. So if the bin number already exists as a key in the dictionary, then we're okay. We've got a set there. So we get the set by looking at the object for that key, bin number, and then we add the array to the set. Otherwise, the bin is not in inventory. We need to create it and then add it into inventory. So the bin set is going to be a mutable set allocated and initialized with the objects of values and nil. And then we set the object bin set for the bin number in our mutable dictionary. We finalize our select statement, and then we return that dictionary. Now we have a delete all parts from catalog. We also need a delete all parts from inventory. And this is a simple query. It's the same really basic method as deleting all parts from catalog. Our query is delete from inventory. There's no where clause. This will delete all of the rows from the inventory table. And then we'll just call that a delete as we prepare it. We check for SQLite OK, and if that comes back OK, we go ahead and step the delete query and then finalize. All right, so in my test situation, in main view controller, I open the database, and then I add 2 parts to the catalog, as I did before, PN001 and PN002, first part and second part. And then I do something a little bit different. The first thing I do is I go ahead and log out all the catalog parts. The next thing I want to do is add these parts into inventory. So I add PN001 and PN002. I add them in 2 different bins for the first test. PRB, or parts room bin 0024 and 0025. I add 100 of the first part and 150 of the second part. And then I log out all inventory parts from our model. Then I delete all the parts from inventory, and I delete all the parts from catalog, because for each test we want a clean database to go into. Finally, I close the database and my test is complete. So let's go ahead and run this. Now, I should say that when we log out a dictionary of sets of arrays, it's going to look a little bit odd. You'll see new line characters and things like that. But if we can filter that information out in our heads, we can see that we're getting the right result. So let's go ahead and run. And we'll bring up our output window. And we see that this is the catalog logging. We have PN001 and PN002. Nothing new here. We saw this before. And then after we add these to inventory, I see that in my inventory dictionary, I have PRB0024, and this is the set. It is part number 001, first part 100 for quantity. So that's it. And so this is okay. The bin number is here, the part number is here, the name is here, and the quantity is here. And likewise, in this bin, I have the bin number 025, the part number is 002, it is the second part, and there's 150 for the quantity for that. So that is working. Now, let's see if we can successfully add these both in the same bin. So let's go ahead and change this to 0024. They're both being added into the same bin. So we'll see if this test is successful as the first one. So again, we run, and we see that our catalog is here, listed correctly. And then we have part room bin 0024 containing PN001, first part, and 100, and then PN002, second part, and 150. And of course, we could pretty print this as we did in our earlier tests using the inventory class, but we're really just going to pass this information up into our interface. So this concludes what we were going to talk about, SQLite 3, in Unit 8. The first demo in Unit 9 We will actually clean things up in our application and get rid of a lot of these model classes and just rely on the parts model. And then also we'll look at getting this data into the view controllers through the main view controller. And we'll see that really not a lot on that side will have changed. We'll have to do a couple of different things depending on how different the organization of the data coming into the dictionaries and the catalog and the inventory are, but there's not that much. And this is the whole point. We have essentially replaced our model without driving a whole great number of changes in our user interface. Thank you very much.